Hey y'all. Last week I posted a review revisions video, so I was, revisiting some recent reviews and revising or updating or just giving extra tea about the products. What happened to that sentence? I wasn't revising the products. I was revisiting the products and giving extra tea about them. I was basically just updating my reviews because, even if you review something, even if you wait a month, like even if you use something for a month and a half or 2 months before you review it, if you then continue to use that thing for 6 more months, often there's a little bit more information. Our relationships with the things that we love and the beauty products that we use, those relationships evolve over time. And I think that it makes sense to showcase that on YouTube. And it also makes sense as a reviewer to just come back and make sure that I've crossed all of my T's and dotted all of my I's. So at the end of that video, I was like, is there anything that you want me to revisit? Was there anything that you were hoping would be in this video or that you're curious about? And there were a bunch of comments, and curiously, a lot of the comments were from people who wanted to know if I still love a thing that I've said in the past that I loved. So the things that I'm talking about today, not all of them are things that I necessarily spotlit in a review or gave a full review of, although I have reviewed these things and talked about them. But there are things that I have loved and that I've talked about loving a lot at some point in my channel, and that either you have asked me actively in those comments, do you still love it? And I'm going to tell you whether or not I do. Or when I was going through and picking out those things to put in this little box to bring over, there are a couple of things that I saw that I was like, oh, I actually want to update people on whether or not I still love this thing and on how my feelings about it have evolved. So that's what this is. It's kind of like review revisions part 2, but it's a specific kind of review revisions, which I'm probably going to call, Do I Still Love It? If this is your first time to my channel, then hi, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things. I enjoy talking about makeup, but I like to make sure that I acknowledge this side. I like to make sure I acknowledge, many facets of an interest in beauty, not all of which are always acknowledged on YouTube. And this is one of them, this facet, the fact that no matter how much you love something, over time, your relationship with that thing is likely to evolve. And I think that's something that it's healthy to remember because it helps to inform our purchasing decisions going forward. So if content that is informed by these facets sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I picked kind of a lot of things. I'm looking in here now and I'm like, I'm gonna have to try to keep it, I'm gonna have to try to keep it concise, you guys, LOL. Otherwise we'll be here for an hour and a half. But I wanna start with the ones that were by request, the ones that you actually actively asked me to assess in the comments on that other video. Let me pull them out. Okay, so the first one on that video, the first comment that made me go, oh, I really do want to revisit talking about this. And it totally makes sense that someone would be asking. It was the Rowan quad. Someone in the comments on that video was like, do you still love the Rowan shades? And this is a great example of this because I don't just like these. I haven't just in the past been like, I like this in passing. This is something that I felt super hard for, like really, really, and talked about it this way. Felt like it was just, God's gift to makeup and the most glorious thing I'd ever come across. They're sort of like dense creams with a ton of super flaky and reflective pigments and micas in them. So it's like, and the creams in each quad tend to be different textures. Like in this quad, for example, which is the warm one, the first one that I bought, this reddish one is a pretty smooth cream. It's pretty monochromatic. And these more browny taupe ones are like really super sparkly and chunky and textured, and they transfer texture onto the lids, and your lids look kind of like they're refracting light in all directions. It makes your lids look like you applied an eyeshadow and then it creased and crinkled and chunked and flaked, and it's the end of the night and you are like out late, like having a whiskey and dancing, and your eyeshadow is falling apart, but in the most glorious way. And also mixing with like the natural oils of your lids, and your lids are sort of like sheening and gleaming and reflecting. It makes it look like that from the jump, like as soon as you apply them. And they're creams that they can be a little bit hard to, it can be hard to get like a precise sculpted eye look the way that we're used to getting with shadows, you have to lean into that. Like you have to lean into the thing I just described about dancing and your sheeny eyelids and the flakes and give up hope of like this super sculpted, controlled look. But that's for the most part what I do. I'm always trying to make this kind of look with shadows. So when these came out and when I started trying them, and then there are 3 quads. I have 2 of them here. This is the 75 degrees warm. This is the 1111. I've reviewed all 3 of them. And I just felt like this was a product that was making it easy for me to get a look that I had always labored to get using other types of product. And also kind of in the way that it wears, which is that it creases a little, but it's really easy to tap out. In the way that it wears, it was sort of teaching me to lean into that, like teaching me to love something that I was always struggling with a little bit to really give myself over to, because it's like I want to embrace imperfection, but it can be hard. But with these products, I felt like I was able to embrace it more and really do that full on. And I really, really loved that. So it's been a long and passionate love affair. And I do still love these shadows. I don't use them as much as I did when I first got the 75 degrees warm. I used it almost exclusively for months, really. Like I think that this is probably the makeup product that I used like the most intensively, the most over and over again, especially for the eyes. Probably of almost anything ever. The Tom Ford cream powder I've used a lot as well, but I was like almost never without it for months and months and months. My feelings about it haven't changed. So I actually don't feel any less passionate about it, any less impressed by the formula, any less in love with the idea of it. It's just that I have had more stuff to play with, and I've been doing a lot more like building my own palettes with my singles and then really wanting to play with those. I've been imitating other makeup artists like Terry Barber and the drag queen Bonu Bamboo Lash. Like I've been doing that recently. And so I've been like drawing these other inspirations and branching out in terms of what I'm trying to create on my eyes. But if I ever want the look, which it does happen frequently, it's not like I never reach for them, I still am always reaching for them. And in fact, this one is, I've hit pan on this one and like a chunk is missing out of the side of it, and almost hit pan on these 2. And I also use the 1111 pretty frequently. I'm actually wearing this one shade from the 1111 quad, which is the one called Situation, the really chunky, shiny one, the pale one. I'm wearing that all over my lids today, and it's the only thing that I have on my eyes. If I have anything to update about these, it's that they really are best used on their own for a simple grungy look, used in a way where you're not trying too much to get like a really flawless blend or that like airbrushed blend, because it's hard to get that with a stiff cream like this. You're getting something chunkier, grungier, more casual, less precise, less clean, and definitely not like glam or full glam, and more like something that anyone could just sort of like smudge into their eyes with their thumbs and go and look glamorous and like go from day to night. It's more that. At the beginning, for those first several months, I was prone to try to fit these shadows into any look that I did. Like anytime I did anything, even if I was trying to get something more sculpted, I would be like, but where can I squeeze in the Rowan? Can I put it as a topper? Can I use it as a base layer? Or can I just use it like under my brow bone to get, like I just always wanted to add them to my looks. And these days, what I've settled into, and it's now been like 2 years, that I've been using these shadows, what I've settled into is that I use them for their own sake, for the effect that they're perfect for when I want that. And when I want something else, something a little more structured or sculpted or, more smoked out, I'll use something else entirely and I won't reach for these. I don't do as much of like mixing these with other shadows as I used to do. And I also think another thing that's happened for me with these is that they were really great for traveling. Like a couple of times I went traveling and I would only take them because, again, they would work from day to night. They're so easy to travel with because they're cream, so you don't have to worry about them breaking. They have that balance of casual makeup application, but also sort of sophistication and artistry that I tend to want when I'm like meeting someone for the first time or like going to an event or something. I don't want to like go ham and do too much on my face, but I do want to have like a little sense of my character and my style. So I think that the fact that I haven't been traveling this year because of COVID, I think that fact is another factor in why I haven't been reaching for these as intensively as I did for that first year. I think that the next time I travel, I will probably take them. I think I could see myself if I were traveling, if I were for some reason traveling like next week, I could see myself taking just like these 2 quads with me for eyeshadow and nothing else. Somebody asked me in the comments there about the e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek palette, if I still love it. I absolutely still love it. In fact, I've almost completely decimated the highlighter there. I say that, but we all know that there's actually way more product around the edges than it ever seems like it. We tend to hit pan and just be like, oh my gosh, I'm almost done. I've almost used it up. But in fact, hitting pan in the middle doesn't mean that there's probably still like at least 1/3 as much of the product left in the corner. So I can still keep using it and using it. But it's like this because whenever I use this palette, I use the highlighter. So I mix it always with any one of the other 3, or I mix the other ones together. But I also often use this highlighter with other blushes. It's like the best for mixing with any cream or liquid blush. I really love it. And yeah, none of my feelings have changed about this. It's the most high-end formula for the lowest price, I feel, ever in life, ever in makeup. Let's talk about the Zeesea lipsticks. Somebody asked about the Zeesea Dragon lipsticks in the comments on that video, wanting to know if I still am as impressed by them as I was when they first arrived in the mail. I was so gagged by these when they first came in the mail because I wasn't expecting it. Zeesea just sent me a package and I decided to open it on camera, and I opened it and I was just like, this is insane because it's so ornate and it's so playful, and it really just stirred me up because I love beauty for its own sake. You know what I mean? I really, really love beautiful things. And this is just really out there. This is another Zeesea lipstick that is also very beautiful. It's the Picasso lipstick. It has the Demoiselles d'Avignon painting on it. And this is another one that I was really stunned by the packaging and talked about that extensively. And for both of these, I also talked when I first reviewed them about the fact that the formula is also really nice and the color is also really nice. So circling back to them now, I do still love this. It sits right in the front of my vanity, this dragon lipstick. Even if I hated the formula and hated the color, I would still be so delighted. I feel like you have to, this isn't usual for me because even though I do love beautiful packaging, I tend to not be able to be excited about a packaging in isolation. Like if the packaging is really beautiful, if the product doesn't work well for me, the packaging would have to be extraordinary and extraordinarily beautiful for me to appreciate it on its own, separate from the product. But in this case, I think even if I didn't love the color or the formula, I think I still would. I think I would still be happy to have this on my vanity as a little sculpture just because it's so lovely. They did send me 3. They came out with this in 3 shades of red, and they sent 3 to me. And when I initially was reviewing them or reckoning with them, I was having a hard time with the idea of parting with any of the 3 because all 3 shades of red were really beautiful. I did eventually decide to give away the 2 that I hadn't tested, and I only kept this 1. But here's the thing. This is what I have on my lips right now. And it's a really beautiful formula. It's it smells like vanilla. It reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick. Is it Matte Revolution? But it's not it's kind of matte. It reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Revolution formula, but just a little bit less silicone-y and a little bit more densely and finely pigmented. It feels more like the pigment's gonna stick to my lips than the Charlotte Tilbury one, which I always feel like it's gonna crease or something because it's so silicone-y, so slippy. So I like this better than the Charlotte Tilbury formula. I think I said that when I initially reviewed it, and I still feel that way. I haven't worn this in a long time, and when I put it on today for this video, I was like, I love it. I think I like it more now than I even did before, and I'm going to try to remember this and wear it more because I'm really feeling myself right now in this color. So yeah, I think what's happened with this since I reviewed it is that I've continued to look at it on my vanity, to appreciate it. I'm glad that I got it in PR. I'm glad I decided to keep one because it's so pretty. But I think that the excitement of the packaging obscured the color. And it's every time I looked at it, all I could see was this gold dragon, and I forgot that it was actually really pretty color. And I was reminded again just today of how good the formula is and how good the color is. And now I'm excited. My excitement is reignited about this. And I'm hoping that my relationship with it will deepen in the weeks to come and go beyond just what it has been so far, which is me being this is cool. The other one, the Demoiselles d'Avignon, I actually think I've worn it a couple more times than the other one, the one that I have on my lips right now, which is, it's M05. This is the most wearable red. One was a darker, more blood, like a more blue blood red, and the other one was like a more orange fire red. Those are the two that I gave away. And this, I think the reason I reached for it more is because it's a very pretty kind of neutrally peach color, a little bit more wearable in the day-to-day. It's not a red. It's in the shade 923. When I put it on my lips, it's a little bit, I know it looks pretty peach there. It reads a little pink on me. I haven't fallen head over heels with the color of this the way that I have with the color of the dragon one. But I have to say, as much as I love the dragon packaging, I might actually even love this more. It's sort of embossed. It's like texture. The illustration is like raised. And every time I like reorganize my lipsticks or do some sort of like shop my stash or anything, every time I handle this and look at it, it gives me like a warm fuzzy feeling. I think it's extraordinarily beautiful. So for this one, I'd say I think I love the packaging more than I love the lipstick inside of it, but I'm okay with that. Maybe after this video, I'll try to wear it again more and maybe I'll re-fall in love with it the way that I have with the one that I'm wearing now. But I think that this might always be a little bit more, and I'm not like a collector of makeup. I don't usually do this with makeup. But I think this might be a little bit more of a thing where I just like cherish the object more than I cherish the act of wearing the makeup. It's a pretty color though. I think that in my memory, it's more pink than this. I think I don't really have an accurate grasp on like the actual color. In that way, I've like let myself down a little bit in terms of like learning about this over time. But I'm still glad that I have it. One of you asked about the Jason Wu products, and I did that video. I think I called it like I reviewed Jason Wu Beauty in a bad mood. I was like in a really bad mood that week, and especially on that day. So I was up there being like, I don't know, you guys, it's fine, whatever, it's bad, I don't know. And most of it was pretty bad. The two products that I liked and that I still like are these two, Hot Fluff, which is, it's a multi-stick, lips, eyes, and cheeks. At least that's what they're marketing it as. It's not actually a multi-stick. I think it works very badly on the eyes, kind of badly on the lips, but it works beautifully on the cheeks, and I love the color. And I have actually continued to wear this, gosh, almost every day since I did that review. What I predicted then was just that I would keep it and keep loving it and keep wearing it on my cheeks turned out to continue to be true. It's actually become one of my most used, just like quick cream blushes for the cheeks. I put it on my cheeks more than almost anything else. I actually often mix this with the highlighter from the e.l.f. Active. Like that's what I'm wearing on my cheeks a lot of the time these days. Even more probably than this, I have continued to love the lip mask. I wear it to bed, I wear it during the day, I wear it when I'm not wearing makeup. The Jason Wu lip mask, yes, it has continued to be a staple. This is a product that I'm like, where is it? Like I lose it. I'll misplace it because I'm always carrying it around with me, and I'm like, where is it? And it's by my bedside. I'm like, where is it? It's like on my desk, and I like go and find it. That's happening to me with this a lot. And the other ones, all of the other things that I reviewed, I moved them over to like the Purgatory box, Coom almost giveaway box, and I haven't touched them. So all the other ones are like out of my life completely. These ones that you guys were like, do you still love it? For the most part, the answer was a resounding yes. And so I wanted to pick something that I could give like a more nuanced answer to, that might be kind of a more of a surprise. And I picked the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Hollywood Spotlight. What is it? No, it's in the shade Spotlight. The Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in the shade Spotlight. It has the word Hollywood on the tube, but I don't think that it's in the name. I don't take back anything I said about this. And, the things that I've said about this are that it's like my holy grail highlighter, the best thing I've ever used. It's like the best highlighter I've ever had. The thing that's amazing about it is that it looks wet when you put it on. It blends out. It blends beautifully with other cream cheeks. And then it sets down completely and dries, but it continues to look wet all day. And that's very hard to come by. And that's why I fell so hard for this product. And I don't take back any of that. That's all still true. And I do still wear it from time to time. Let's be accurate. I do still wear it a lot. I have worn it a lot. I've almost used it up completely. Just in the past couple of months, I've worn it less frequently because of Glow Lust by Auric, because I love that Glow Lust so much, and I've been using a thick layer of it on my cheeks and nose all the way across, and then a thinner layer mixed with the other makeup on my face because it's too dark for me. So I can't just put a thick layer on my whole face, although I wish that I could. But I can get away with kind of a thick layer on my cheeks and nose because I tend to blush up that area anyway. So it's okay if it's like a little bit darker than the rest of my skin. And when I put it on as a base, Oryx Glow Lust, I put it on as like a primer pretty much, and then I do the rest of my face. When I'm ready to go in with my cheeks, they're so gleaming, they're so reflective and so wet looking that I don't need to put a highlighter. I don't need to mix a cream highlighter with a cream blush for my cheeks. I just go in with a cream blush on top of Glow Lust, and they end up shining like the sun. Like I end up looking so drenched and wet all day. So it just feels like it would be like redundant to put this on top of that. And because I reviewed Oryx just a couple of months ago, and I've been still really into that product and wearing it a lot, this one has kind of been languishing. So that's why I feel like this is a good one to put in here, because I do love it. I do still love it, but I just wanted to let you guys know that you've been seeing me look like my face is drenched in water for the past couple of months. It actually hasn't been because of this product like it used to be. It's been because of Glow Lust, and I feel like Glow Lust is so shiny that I don't need to augment the effects of it with this. But if I didn't have it, if I suddenly lost that luminizer or I decided to stop using it for some reason, I would go back to using this because this is like a spot version. It's like a spotlight version of what Glow Lust does for the whole face. I just feel like I don't need both of them. And then this last one is one that I gave a really, really good review to, and that I have continued to love and I've continued to use, but that I have recently been re-reminded of. And it's the Cosmetics Color Drop Serum Blush in Venetian Rose. I have like the most thorough and satisfying to watch review of the Cosmetics Color Drop Serum blushes on the internet. And I'm gonna put the link down below. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's like really close-up swatch footage, very detailed application footage. I mean, I really did the thing. I did the whole 9 yards with all of the colors. And I was very impressed by the formula, more than I expected to be. Venetian Rose turned out to be my favorite color because it really fakes it really fakes like sun. Like it really looks like I got some sun. It's what I'm wearing today. I put a pretty light application of it on today, but here's the thing, like today, I'm actually not wearing a luminizer underneath this. I'm wearing a slightly luminous primer, the VDL Lumi Layer Primer, but a pretty thin layer of it because I'm almost out of it and I couldn't get it to pump out. So I'm wearing a little bit of VDL Lumi Layer Primer, but the gleam on my cheeks is entirely from this. It's just that skincare serum-y effect that you get from the Cosmetics Color Drop Serum blushes. Before I filmed that review and after I filmed that review, I was wearing this a lot, and the other one that I really love, which is Nectar, the more pink one, which kind of makes me look like, I feel like this one kind of makes me look sunburned, especially if I put a lot on, and Nectar kind of makes me look like I have a fever. I love both of those looks. And so I was using them a lot, and then I was using them a lot after I filmed the review because, you know, I had just been loving on them so much. And then they just sort of, you know, as it happens, kind of like slipped to the back of the drawer a little bit. And then recently I started reaching for this every time I got back in the habit. I started reaching for this almost every time I wanted to put on a liquid blush. What's happened is that when I've caught sight of myself, like I've been editing videos in which I was wearing it, or caught sight of myself in the mirror, and every time I've been like, that cheek is so good. That cheek is where it's at. And it's always been this every time. So not only do I still really love this product, but I have a renewed appreciation for it. And so it really sprung to hand when I was like digging through my drawers to look for things that I've loved in the past and, you know, sung the praises of in the past and that I still really love. And so I just wanted to put that in to round out the video. It's been fun to revisit these things and remember how it felt when they were brand new. And I was, you know, really passionate about them in the reviews. And I'm glad that even though that passion in some cases has changed, or my understanding of how these products fit into my life in some cases has evolved. So like, for example, with this, where I used to be trying to stick it in to every eye look that I did, but now I understand that it fits really well into my life when I just use these eyeshadows on their own. You know, I've had those kinds of evolutions. I'm glad that even though that's true, for the most part, I do still love these things. I'm really glad that checking up on all of these things that I've said I loved in the past. There isn't really one of them where I'm like, oh, I thought I loved it, but I actually hate it. And it's not even as though there's a large percentage of them where I'm like, I was really into it and now I think it's boring, or I don't think I'm ever going to use it up or something like that. I'm glad to know that I still love what I have loved, even if there have been these like slight amendments to the way in which I use the product or like what I know about the formula. So thank you for asking about these products in the comments on that video. And let's do it again. If there's anything you've seen me talk about loving in the past or not liking in the past, or just seen me review in the past, and you've been out there wondering how it's going between me and that product, let me know in this comment section and I'll come back and do another video like this. I hope that this one was fun to watch, and I really hope you're remembering to take extra good care of yourself today so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.